Another ordinary day of trade comes to an end. A victory for the bulls, not really, but midcap surely kept us busy. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching Markets Tomorrow.
Hi everyone, and of course it was a day where we did manage to scale that level of 6100, but what's in store for us in terms of levels come tomorrow? We'll get in our panel of experts. So joining in today on Markets Tomorrow, we've got Mahesh Patil, co-CIO at Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund joining in. And on the charts, that's Sandeep Wagle, founder and MD at Aptart Technical Advisory Services. Prakash Diwan also now joins in on the show. And Prakash, I'd like to start off with you. Up until the elections, do you think we should resign ourselves to the fact that it's going to be fairly range-bound, because that's going to be the main trigger? Yes, we did have a spurt with 6100, but we didn't even sustain.
No, absolutely. I think ever since the start of the year, this market's been very stock specific. So, what the Sensex and the Nifty reflect optically is more illusionary to a large extent. And very clearly, we need to realize that we've just gone through with the earnings season, and there have been some surprises in the sense that no disappointment at least in most of the earnings. And very clearly, the range-bound market or the listlessness in the market should be utilized to do some stock picking on a lower level kind of a basis. So, I would believe there are enough opportunities to look at stocks that are insulated from whatever uncertainty we are stepping into, be it the budget, be it elections after that. So it's clearly become a stock pickers market. In this listlessness, there would be certain opportunities.
Sandeep Wagle, how does one make money in this kind of a flat or listless market?
Because you have to spot the right stock and you can make your money, because the Nifty over the last 5 days or 4 or 5 days has been moving in a 30-40 point band, and there is nothing that you can do with the Nifty except for doing a short strangle where you can make money if you sell the higher end call and the lower end put. But then, having said that, we have the event vote on account in the next week or 10 days. So till this time, I think the move in the Nifty is likely to be subdued only, and individual stock specific calls or ideas only will work. So I think one has to be very, very stock specific, and that also the range is slowly narrowing. So I don't see too many opportunities.
Mahesh, so, if we look at it from two scenarios, the bulls would insist that the markets have bottomed out, earnings are above estimates, but now the bears would insist that China factors, the tapering concerns will clearly dominate. What's your view?
Yeah, you're right, actually. I think from a domestic standpoint, if you look at it, I think our view also is similar, that we have seen the worst in our markets behind us. I mean, rather than the market, I would say in the economy. And at the margin, we think things are looking to look better on the macroeconomic fundamentals, though it's going to be a slow and gradual process. But I think the global environment has turned a bit negative, especially with tapering and concerns of China. We have seen in the last 1 month, 1.5 months actually, biggest streak of outflow from the emerging markets, and India has not escaped that. But I think the good thing is that we have been pretty relatively done better, I would say, in terms of the performance of the other emerging market, and especially on the currency front, which has seen some kind of pressure again lately after depreciation which we saw in Argentina and Turkey. So I think clearly, I think as this thing ebbs out, okay, on the global side, as the concerns kind of moderate, I think you should see again focus coming back on the domestic side, where I think the outlook looks to be improving. It all depends on the elections. Okay, there's a lot of hope being pinned on that in terms of what kind of a government we'll get and whether we will come out of this slump and really be on a path of recovery. I think that's a key really, and all the other things wouldn't really matter much, at least for the next 2 or 3 months.
Prakash, what was happening in OMCs and especially energy related stocks in terms of news flow, in terms of buzz? There was nothing on D Street today, but Reliance had a good day. ONGC went up on strong volumes, and HPCL, BPCL also managed to buck the trend.
No, I think it's more to do with the government's options to resort to any sort of populism, and those options are kind of dwindling as we get closer to year end or closer to the voter count. So very clearly, that whole danger of the government doing something to reverse all the good work that had taken off in the last few months or almost the last 1 year. There was this whole reversal psychosis that was at work, and since that's not likely to happen, it was more of a relief saying, okay, there's no point going short on any of these stocks and let's start covering those. And I think very clearly any new regime that comes in will probably, look at solving the issue on the oil and gas spectrum very, very clearly at the first point of attack, and that's going to impact inflation and a host of other things. So my sense is people are expecting some positive moves here as we get closer to, elections or maybe post that, and that's a relief of sorts that's very clearly emerging in this pack.
Prakash, from these two, what exactly is it that you will be watching out in terms of highlights from ONGC and Hindalco?
Primarily, ONGC is also one of the silent beneficiaries of any kind of a potential gas price hike, and we continue to kind of keep reliance in our crosshairs. But given the fact that they have been upping the gas production and it's been a fairly impressive growth that they've clocked on that, if the management guides a further trajectory there, it could make a big difference to ONGC's realization as well. So that could pave the way for it to kind of start getting re-rated upwards. Whereas on the Hindalco side, I think on a standalone basis, there's really not very exciting numbers to look for, but it's going to be the Novelis impact on a consolidated basis that will be more watchful, more impactful. So I would rather look at that from a more consolidated basis, and there could be some sort of a sliver of improvement that could start coming in, given the fact that there's a slight pickup in commodities, particularly metals across the globe.
Sandeep Agle, is there hope for ICICI Bank now? Because today it went up on OK volumes. It, in fact, went almost to 1,000 rupees on an intraday basis.
Nikunj, yes, the pattern today has been positive in ICICI Bank, and volume built-up is also quite positive, quite heartening. So some more trading upside to the tune of 1020, 1025, the 2 or 3%. I don't see a move beyond that. So max to max 1030 is what I would talk of. So if I take a call in this stock, that would be for a limited upside.
Mahesh, let's talk about the auto space. And Tata Motors of late has had a stupendous performance. What would be your call on the stock now? Do you think that there is significant upside in the likes of Tata Motors or even in some of the other auto names from the current levels?
Yeah, I think Tata Motors, again, it's more to do with nothing to do with the domestic, because domestic operations still continue to be under pressure. Doesn't see any kind of a recovery there in sight. But anyway, they have become now too insignificant in terms of the total value of the company. So clearly, I think the global market, especially in China, okay, where we've seen a strong demand, I think again this is a company where we have seen new product introductions actually keeping the demand, or at least the sales growth, pretty strong. And that's also the operating leverage is also coming in, and we've seen the margins improving going forward. So I think as long as the company is able to really, they have a decent pipeline of new models, okay, that should keep the volumes growth pretty good. Despite concerns coming in that we've seen a slowdown in China, I think that should not impact the volume growth for at least Tata Motors JLR in the medium term. And I think on the auto space, we have seen some concerns coming in terms of growth is still not really picked up, domestic at least to that extent. But I think as we move forward, as the demand, the confidence comes back, consumer confidence, we should see the second half of this calendar year where things should start to improve on the auto side. And that keeps us we're still pretty positive on the space, despite the volume numbers in domestic not showing any meaningful sign of improvement at this point in time.
Sandeep, as a group, auto ancillary stocks are having a very strong, trend, so to speak. Motherson Sumi, Bharat Forge, Seat, Apollo Tyres. Do you think there is money to be made in auto ancillary as a group?
Nikunj, yes, I think Motherson Sumi still has some more upside to go, and most of the stocks that you talked of, a small correction can't be ruled out on any given sideways Nifty day. You may get a correction, that is where you should buy into. But broadly, 8 to 10% upside is what I see even from the current levels.
Let's find out what exactly the dealing rooms are advising in terms of individual stock picks. Ajay is standing by from our research team, and Ajay, auto stocks in top gear.
Well, auto stocks is something we heard that one of the Asian funds, which is more tilted towards cyclicals, is heard to be very active in, and M&M is the top one. Interestingly, ahead of the numbers in fact will be out only day after tomorrow, but M&M was heard to be one of the stocks which they are nibbling in. The buzz on the street is that versus 880 crore of estimates, the net profit could actually be closer to 940, 950 crore, and dealers expect that particular stock also to head to around those levels in the next 2-3 days in the run up to numbers. Tata Motors, on the other hand, is one stock which has almost been on the same level before the numbers came out, and we understand that at lower levels on declines, dealers are recommending this to be bought as a positional play for the February series. They expect a good amount of returns even from current levels. 400 is something they would like to keep a target for February series. Tata Motors could rise up to.
All right, Ajay, thanks a lot for that. Sandeep Agle, what are your top ideas for tomorrow morning?
Nikunj, I think ONGC is likely to surprise on the positive side. When I say surprise, I'm looking at a 4-5% trading upside. So I would buy ONGC for that with a stop loss of 278, target of 293. The second call is a sell in a JSW steel. I still maintain that the metal space is weak. Hindalco, JSW are looking weak, and I see some more downside. So I would sell it with a stop loss of 852, target of 820.
Mahesh, now in the leg of the decline, are you happy to buy telecom stocks, or are you happy to increase your exposure to some of the private banks?
I think, difficult. I think on the margin, I would say that the private banking sector at this point in time juncture, I mean, despite the concerns which are there, I think from a medium-term perspective or medium to long-term perspective offers a better return opportunity, okay, than the telecom. Because in the telecom space, we've seen some kind of a saturation over there in terms of the minutes growth going forward. There could be some upside in the near term because of the depressed prices what we have seen. But clearly from a medium to long term prospect, we feel that private sector banks offer a better growth and better returns at this point in time.
Okay. Prakash, closing comments from you. What are your top ideas?
I think, Nikunj, I continue to have faith in United Spirits in spite of the negative news flow that surrounds this stock, and of course numbers notwithstanding would review that favorably, hopefully. And the second idea again is very clearly a mid-cap story that I believe is suddenly coming to the right kind of frame of mind, and that's LG Equipments. LG Equipments is again belonging to a very strong parentage and has been very low profile, but has started throwing up some very decent surprises in terms of a turnaround of sorts. So this is a company that people will want to watch in terms of the export engineering theme, and which is kind of catching up quite well. So those are the two ones that are fresh and actively being worked upon.
Okay, gentlemen, great to have you with us on the show. Thanks so much for taking time out and joining in with your expert opinion. And on that note, we wrap it up. Thanks so much for watching. It's goodbye from Nikunj.